On January 4th, Migos rapper Quavo released a song dedicated to Migos rapper Takeoff, who sadly passed away on November 1st, 2022. As time continues to go on, more and more evidence is being released on how Takeoff truly passed away, as DJ Akademiks stated this during an interview recently.
Quavo says, you know what? I'm gonna walk off. He's like, yo, let's go. But I'm gonna also be honest, he said something that I think could have incited the whole thing. Not that necessarily is his fault. He says, man, let me get up on out of here before I hurt somebody. And when you think about all these situations, like Quavo says that, I think that sets in motion, granted the argument set everything in motion, but him walking away and saying that, I think someone acted on behalf of whoever he was arguing with. The guy with the either seen someone else brandish, he pulled out his, Quavo's already out the mix, so he's back there. The melee's here. Takeoff is still in the middle.
Now, once DJ Akademiks gave his insight on Takeoff's passing with Quavo's actions at the Houston Mall, many eyewitnesses at the scene have been coming out with very similar messages about Takeoff and what they believe happened on what they saw. As it's also important to note that Quavo said this during Takeoff's funeral.
You always with me, and we did everything together. Since we was kids, you been by my side, looking up at me with them eyes. Same eyes you got as my sister. Waiting on me to make the next move, then you followed up right behind me. You always made sure I did it first, so you can do it right with me. You never competed with me. We was always on the same team because you hated playing against me because I always played too hard or too rough. And I can hear mama saying, not too rough, son. Remember our first dream was to be tag team partners in the WWE. We fell in love with WWE wrestling. We had every...
If you're a fan of Takeoff, leave a like on the video. I'm curious how many fans are watching today. After the video clip cuts off, Quavo's next message that he said, and I quote, "Takeoff is super quiet though. Quietest in the room, but paid attention to everything going on in the room. He's always been like that. Nothing ever really bothered Take, and he didn't bother anybody." Now remember that part of the message, as it actually relates to a new witness's statement as released by the feds. After Quavo's speech at Takeoff's funeral, the Houston police announced the arrest of the main suspect in the passing of Takeoff. As it was reported by Rap TV, and I quote, "Just in, Takeoff's passing suspect, Cameron Joshua, Lil Cam V, has been arrested on firearm possession." And then it wasn't long until the next suspect in the Takeoff passing case was then arrested. As DJ Akademiks tweeted, "Police arrest man for the passing of Takeoff. His name is Patrick Clark. Sources in Texas say he's commonly known as DJ Pat." With his mugshot included in the tweet to get a visual on what he looks like, DJ Akademiks then also tweeted, "According to court documents, Patrick Clark, aka DJ Clark, applied for an emergency passport days after the passing of Takeoff and booked a flight to Mexico. When police arrested him, he had large amounts of cash on him, and prosecutors claim that he's a flight risk for bond." With the arrest of the two suspects in the passing of Takeoff, this now confirms a lot of what eyewitnesses claimed happened the day that Takeoff passed away, as I was able to piece together many Instagram stories that paints an entire day of events for the Migos rappers, Quavo and Takeoff, alongside a family friend named Migo Bands, who happens to also be a suspect in the passing of Takeoff. 10 hours before the passing of Takeoff, his day started with Quavo, Migo Bands, and a driver for their vehicle. The four individuals were invited to a Halloween party hosted by J Prince Jr. This party consisted of many music reps, businessmen, as well as street members in Houston. Before arriving, Quavo and Takeoff made rounds around their area, meeting up with friends and family for the Halloween holiday. As a few hours then passed and Instagram stories showed Quavo, Takeoff, and Migo Bands arriving to the J Prince party in Houston, as the party starts with Quavo and Takeoff performing a few songs at the beginning of the event, before attending an after party room to relax in and meet up with new music reps. In this after party room, there was many people playing games of dice in exchange for cash, but it's also in this after party room where all three suspects of the Takeoff passing morning, all are in the same room. Suspect number 1, he has just been arrested for the passing of Takeoff, and this is DJ Clark, aka Patrick Clark, as mentioned earlier. Suspect number 2 is Cameron Joshua, and it was at this moment where Quavo notices something. In a video screenshot taken, Quavo is seen giving the second suspect named Cameron a very ugly look, almost as if he knew that Cam was up to no good at this party, as Cameron is seen here in this photo wearing the yellow sweater with Quavo looking directly at him. Make sure you remember Cameron wearing the yellow sweater, as it is very important for later in the video. After this was complete, Quavo, Takeoff, and Migos bands were then seen walking through a shopping center in Houston, Texas, alongside a lump sum of 30 people that were friends and acquaintances of Jay Prince. Inside of the shopping center is a bowling alley called 810 Billiards and Bowling Houston. With everyone standing around in front of this bowling location, the games of dice were not done, as there was many people still wanting to play, and they decided to play right in front of the bowling alley. Reports state that Migos rapper Quavo was one of the 50 men watching and playing dice, but that is false, as Quavo was just watching. However, while watching people play dice, an individual walks up to Quavo. This individual, who still remains nameless to this day, walks up to Quavo and immediately starts calling him names. This then led into him mocking the way that Quavo was playing during a celebrity basketball game just a few weeks prior to the incident, where Quavo is seen starting to argue back and forth with this individual. On video, Quavo is seen saying, and I quote, "Man, I don't care about no basketball game." And it was at this current moment where Quavo and this mystery man started beginning to get very loud, where Cameron in the yellow sweater is seen making his way through the pile of people and then walking right beside Quavo and standing beside him and the other man arguing. With the yelling starting to escalate, Migos bands is then seen walking towards the group of people. As you can tell, this is Migos bands from the t-shirt he's wearing, the Gucci bag, single chain, and snapback hat is the exact same clothing and jewelry that he was wearing inside of the vehicle earlier on in the night. Migos bands walks towards and through the group. He stands beside Takeoff initially before going up and walking beside Quavo. Footage reveals that Migos bands stood there for a minute wondering what's going on, and while doing so, he was actually holding a firearm near his waistband. All while this is going down, Takeoff is maybe 5 to 7 feet behind Quavo, as this then leaves the next and main suspect, DJ Pat, to be standing around 2 feet to the side of Quavo. So imagine Cameron Joshua, Migos bands, and Patrick Clark standing in a pyramid around Quavo and Takeoff. And with everybody practically in their positions, the man Quavo is arguing with, he's done with it. Quavo says bye, and he tries to turn around. While Quavo is turning around, the man he was arguing with then swings towards Quavo. And it was at this moment where Takeoff, he begins then walking towards Quavo for backup, putting him into the middle of the triangle. With Takeoff in the middle of the triangle, this is where eyewitnesses claim that Cameron in the yellow sweater is seen pulling out his firearm first. With Cameron pulling out his firearm, this then leads to Migos bands pulling out his, and then new sources claim this is where Patrick Clark then pulls out his. No witnesses have said for sure who used their firearm first, but you can imagine that one of the 3 suspects used their firearm. That then led to the other 2 using theirs, and then it sadly resulted in Takeoff being affected by 2 strays as a result. So with firearms being used in such a small area, this resulted in everybody inside of the mall sprinting and rushing out of the mall. And with everybody sprinting away, ducking for cover and hopping over chairs and benches, all that was left in that area was sadly Takeoff, but then there was also Quavo. Quavo did not leave Takeoff's side even for one moment. Quavo was seen standing there with Takeoff all the way until the sad end. He didn't even flinch when the firearms were used. He saw that Takeoff was affected and stood his ground with his brother until the end. And that's why anyone blaming Quavo for this, please don't even think like that. This had nothing to do with Quavo. It was just a very unfortunate event, as many rappers reacted in such manner, as Master P had this to say.
And hip hop is too young. Rest in peace to Takeoff. My condolences goes out to Takeoff family, Quavo, man, all my soldiers and soldier reps. Hip hop has turned to the new streets. We used to be in the streets trying to get into hip hop, which is crazy. When you walk out your house, tell your loved ones you love them, because you never know who might not come back. And no matter how old or young you are, it's crazy. I love y'all soldiers and salute to everybody. Let's save the next generation.
This then even led into Boosie, who had this to say about Takeoff passing.
R.I.P. Takeoff, bro. Shaking my head, man. Humble. That music syndicate won't show QC, all the family. We sending some prayers and love for y'all. All Takeoff family, Quavo, Offset, all y'all. That music syndicate won't, send their prayers out. This rap whack, bro. I ain't lying, bro. We targets now, bro. We used to be heroes, Everybody want us out of here, bro. R.I.P. Takeoff.
I'm curious to know what your reaction on Takeoff passing is. Make sure you let me know down below in the comments. Anyways, it's been District Trending, and I am ending the video here. If you enjoyed, please leave a like on it, and don't forget to subscribe.